I've made a new discovery recently that I'm very stoked about. My family makes fun of me when I say stoked. It is that even though I have mature eyes, and even though matte is probably the primary type of eyeshadow I should stick with, I can actually wear something with a little bit of shimmer, and I want to tell you about it. I'm Michelle Fox from Michelle Fox Beauty and Michelle Fox Online. And I love chatting with women over 40 about things that we can do to look our youthful, beautiful best. And I'm painfully aware of how textured eyeshadow can emphasize the crepiness of our lids. Therefore, I have stayed away from it for quite some time. But recently, I actually got a little quad in an Ipsy package. And it's a very inexpensive brand. And I guess just for the heck of it, I just was playing with it. And I thought, this actually looks really, really good because I think a vast majority of the eyeshadow in my regular repertoire is matte. And then I might break out a little shimmer once in a while, like in the corner or something. But as far as like putting it on my brow bone or my entire lid, heavens to Betsy, I would just never do that. But I tried it with this little compact and it really looked pretty. And then I did a video wearing it and I thought, I think I look even better than normal. Like what gives? So it has kind of taken me on this journey of thinking about the different type of finishes that eyeshadow offers and why it matters that there's a difference and what the differences are. I used to think of it as the texture, but really the texture of the eyeshadow would be, is it a powder? Is it cream? Is it liquid? Is it loose powder? That's the texture. I'm talking more about the finish of the eyeshadow. So I'm going to show you some examples of the different finishes, and then I'll give you a few facts about them that I think that you might find helpful. Let's hope. We don't want to waste anybody's time. All right. So the one that I am most familiar with is matte, and that's where there is no shimmer at all. It is flat. So it would be the equivalent of flat paint, basically. So that is matte. Then there is something called satin, and I think this is my savior right here, where it's basically a combination of matte and shimmer, but it's very, very subtle, similar to the look of satin or silk. Shimmer has a little more, the little glitter pieces are bigger. And I think that gives it more reflection, more of a luminous glow or an iridescent look to it. That is a true shimmer. But there's something even beyond shimmer, and that is either called frost. It was called frost back in the day. Sometimes it's referred to as pearl, but that's where it is opaque, where you really can't see through it. And it's very shiny, shimmery. And it's usually pastels, which is why I chose this picture. It's usually light colors. Like I always remember powder blue frost eyeshadow, back in the late 70s, early 80s. That was a thing. And the next couple, metallic, to me, metallic is fairly new, but I don't know, maybe it's been around forever and ever, but it seems like it's more and more popular these days. And then there's actual glitter where there are like chunks of glitter. There is literally glitter in this makeup. And then there's something called matte with glitter. And that's really interesting. I'm kind of playing with that a little bit, where there's actually a matte base. So when you apply it, there's the matte look, and then there's like a little sprinkling of glitter on top of it. So let's chat about the pros and cons of all of these. So matte, it's an interesting animal. All right, I'm not gonna lie. Matte is more pigmented. It packs more of a punch. But because of that, it can be difficult to blend. And for me, my experience is that every brand, no matter how expensive or how inexpensive, has certain matte shades that are really difficult to blend. And I'm telling you, I've tried everything under the sun, every brand, every price point. And like, for example, I usually, if there's something that's navy or black or just a really, really deep color, they are harder to blend. I wish that weren't the case, but unfortunately it is. I think it helps to make sure that you're using an eye primer and to let the eye primer really soak in, to where it's basically dry before you apply your matte. And I think it also helps to use a brush rather than like a sponge tip. And something that I just read is that if you have the opportunity to try it before you buy it, to try picking some up with your finger, and the more easily you can, grab a matte eyeshadow with your finger, the better it tends to blend. So that's interesting. And it is actually hard to find palettes of just matte. And so I've got a couple favorites that I'll mention in my blog, because there was a period of time where I was convinced I could not wear any kind of shimmer at all. Shimmer is made from something called mica, M-I-C-A, and you can have a sensitivity to that. And I think I do. And usually the bigger the pieces of mica are, the more you're going to experience that sensitivity. So I went through a season where I would absolutely positively, no matter what, only wear matte. And so I've got some background with that. I think before I talk about satin, I'm going to jump up to shimmer, because satin is kind of in between. So we've got matte that has no iridescence at all. There's no reflection. It's totally flat. And then we have shimmer that does have the reflection. That comes from something called mica. The pieces of mica, the bigger they are, the more the reflection. And because of that, they can sort of settle into tiny little grooves, and it is going to reflect off of the shadows and really emphasize any type of texture that we have on our eyes, which is why as our eyes get crepey, particularly our lids, we don't want to put something shimmery there. Well, a couple of reasons. One, it's like a spotlight because it attracts the light. The light is going to bounce off of it like a mirror. But then also it is emphasizing the texture that we are really trying to minimize. We're trying to smooth that out, visually. So along comes satin, which is right smack dab in the middle. It is made of matte with like a little bit of the shimmer mixed in. And for me, it almost like I have to look really hard to tell that it is satin. I mean, usually it's so smooth looking in the pan that it can look matte. And then I'll put it on and I kind of look, I'm like, oh no, that does have a little bit of a reflection to it, a little bit of shimmer. But that's the one that I have found has actually been really flattering on me. And I have heard makeup artists say, oh no, mature eyes, you can wear shimmer. And I think it must be something in this satin realm where it's milled just finely enough that it has like a matte look to some degree. But when you're moving and the light hits it, there's that little bit of reflection, and there's something about that combination or that texture, the matte with the little bit of the mica, that it just works. I don't really know how to explain it, but for the first time in a super duper long time, I actually feel confident wearing something with a little bit of oomph. So I'm really excited about it. And the more the reflection, like the bigger the pieces of mica, the harder it is to get it to apply with a brush or a sponge tip. And so when we're moving up the ladder, so to speak, there's that real frosty or pearl look, not as popular today as it's been, but every now and then I'll see it. And that is, like I said, it's almost, you put it on and it is opaque. Like you're not seeing any of your eyelid color behind it. And it has a lot of shine to it. And it's usually a pastel, usually a very light color. So there's a lot of drama with that. So that is really a nice one to use just a little dab of it, like in your tear duct. I do that quite frequently. And it is fun when you're like going out for dinner in the evening and if it's candlelight and dim lights, that when that little bit of light does hit, there's that reflection, and it is a pretty look, but it can be kind of dated because it was definitely a big thing like in the 70s. But moving up to metallic, now we're getting to where the mica is substantial. And so if you're having a hard time getting it to look just right, try applying it with your middle finger. Like you are literally, kind of massaging your finger into the pan and then patting it onto your eye, and just let the warmth of your finger deposit it. It's really uncanny how that will work even better than with a very expensive brush. Try it for yourself. And then beyond metallic is actual glitter, and that's out there. I'll warn you this. If you are really sensitive to like pieces getting in your eyes and like, making your eyes water or making you blink a lot, glitter is going to be a thing because it is literally little pieces of glitter in there. And I can, for me anyway, I'm pretty sensitive. I put it on, and then at some point I find myself really wanting to rub my eyes or just get it off. And I think it's because that, it doesn't take much, for that glitter to get in your eye itself and for it to be uncomfortable, but it's pretty. The things we suffer for, right? Just to look good. So I what I'm excited about is that I think that I really had kind of a closed-minded idea of, shoot, I'm at this age where really I've got to wear matte. There aren't as many matte options as there are shimmer options. And sometimes it's hard to blend. And so it's kind of a bummer all the way around. But then I tried, oh, I should tell you what it is, right? It was a brand called, or is a brand called Farah. And it's like it's an acronym. I don't know what it stands for, but it's F.A.R.A.H, whatever. And I got a little compact, and I got one like a couple months ago, and I didn't even think twice about it. I saw the shimmer in there and I gave it to my daughter. Then I got another one with different colors this past month, and I really liked the colors. And I thought, let me just play with it. And lo and behold, it has changed my life. It has sort of a champagne. I'll put a picture of it in the blog, but it has like a champagne color that I used under my brow and on my lid. And I knew that it had some shimmer to it. I could tell looking in the pan, but then looking in the mirror, it had a very satiny, very smooth look. Even though there was that reflection, it was smooth. And I was like, this could be exciting. This could be a good thing. And then the next two main colors were matte. There was sort of like a pinky brown, I think, and then a purple, I think. And then there was a glitter. The glitter I was struggling with. I've tried it with the brush. I've tried it with my finger, and it's just not really happening for me. But I think even if it did happen, it's not going to look good. You got to know your limits, right? So anyway, that was exciting. And so then I remembered another palette that I've liked in the past, but I, had kind of just assumed that I wouldn't be able to wear. And so I started playing with that, and I did not have the same results. I felt like that did, I felt like the shimmery stuff in that palette did make my eyes look crepey, and the stuff that had glitter was, over the top. And so it does pay to try before you buy, or to make sure that when you invest in it, that they'll take it back if you're not happy with it, because there's just so many factors. It's like I said, how large the pieces of mica are, the quality of the pigment that is being used, and of course other ingredients. But I'm excited that I think I can play with shimmer, satin shimmer. So anyway, let me know what your experience has been, because like I said, I've heard makeup artists say, oh no, I especially use shimmer on mature eyes. And I just feel like, I don't know about that. So I think for the most part, I prefer matte. I look better in matte, but it's a lot of fun to have some alternatives. And I will give you some mentions in the blog, so you've got some places to click and check out some examples. So let me know what your thoughts are on that, what your experience has been. If you feel, and here's another thought, is that for sure, whatever makes you feel beautiful is the right choice. And I know that there are some friends of mine that have just always worn a lot of shimmer, frost, glitter, whatever. They love the pizzazz. They love that whole finished look. And so they're continuing it into their latter years, and more power to you. I mean, that's the thing. The whole thing about makeup and skincare and beauty is what makes you feel beautiful. What makes you feel confident? What makes your heart happy? It's the little things. I'm not saying that anybody has to look just like me. I'm not saying you have to wear makeup to be beautiful. I'm saying let's not just throw in the towel at the thought of feeling beautiful just because we've reached 50 and beyond. We are beautiful creatures. We have so much to give and so much to offer this world. And let's just let that shine from us in whatever way you want to make that happen. Okay. I encourage you to try something new, but what bottom line, do what makes you feel pretty. Okay. So I hope you agree with that. That's all for this week. It's just kind of short and sweet. I think I will have the same handout that I had last week, the 12 tips for eyeshadow application, because I think it's kind of apropos. And then next week we'll start with something different. Okay. I know I don't want to belabor this too long, but I'm just super excited about my new discovery, and I hope you are too. So thanks so much for watching. If you are catching me on YouTube, I would ask you to please subscribe to Michelle Fox Beauty. Give this video a like, share it with a friend. And if you're on my blog, if you go all the way to the bottom of my written blog, there's a place where you can click to get on my newsletter or my email list. I don't really do newsletters. I mostly just send you updates about stuff. So I would love to stay in touch with you there. I appreciate you so much. I'm telling you what, doing this is super fun. So if you ever watch me and think, I wish I could do that, you can. And it's really a lot of fun. So I guess I better wrap things up. I will see you next week with more hints and tips and ideas for mature beauty. I'll see you then.